There's been a marked increase in kidnappings in the country. Latest crime statistics, which were released yesterday, put the total of kidnappings at a staggering 3,649, with Gauteng leading the pack at just over 1,935. Joining us now is Private Investigator Mike Bolhuis, who speaks to us from Pretoria this morning. Mike, good morning to you and thank you for your time. Let me begin by asking what this crime trend, kidnappings, is telling us about the state of crime in our country.
Yeah, it is shocking, and thank you for the opportunity. We have many a times had the opportunity in exposing the crime situation in South Africa, and always I have explained the escalation of crime in South Africa. And once again, we see an escalation of about all crimes, especially serious violent crimes, murders, kidnappings, gender-based violence, farm attacks, etc. All these serious violent crime cases is obviously very upsetting, and unfortunately the safety and security infrastructures in South Africa seems that they just cannot deal with the enormous problem that we are facing.
Yeah. For perpetrators of crime, Mike Bolhuis, to continue to conduct kidnappings, it can only mean one thing, and that is that this has become lucrative for them. Does that mean that people are paying ransoms, if it is ransoms that are being asked for?
There would be two reasons why the criminals will kidnap. One would be for finances. Two would be for information. You either have too much information or you are such a level with information that you can do things for them or make sure that certain things don't happen. And that's on the high level of kidnappings that we many a times are involved with. But it's mostly money, or it could be both. Yeah. And then what we also see is that people are killed nowadays after they have received the money. We've had quite a few cases where extreme businessmen, very wealthy businessmen, have been kidnapped, and then once paid, they were killed because they also wanted to make sure there's no evidence. As a matter of fact, some of the bodies were dismembered and discarded in water areas. And it's a huge problem. And as you have said, we've said that so many times before, crime begets crime. If a crime is committed and the criminal can get away with it, and he can do it, especially if you take in consideration that very few of these criminals are caught, other criminals will jump on the bandwagon and also commit these crimes.
Of the more than 3,000 kidnappings, Mike, Gauteng is leading with over 1,900. Does that surprise you that Gauteng is leading the pack?
No. Gauteng is the greater area of the haves, so it's much more lucrative. And Gauteng also, in our opinion, has the most syndicate gangsterism activities. So you have in all the other provinces, you have a group of syndicates and gangsters operating together as criminals committing these financial crimes, but mostly in Gauteng. And also taking consideration that the policing involvement sometimes is a very big concern. So in Gauteng we have found that there's a lot of corruption, and sometimes even police involved and security officers. So the infrastructure of safety and security many a times get involved into the kidnappings and assist.
So the areas, therefore, that clearly are of focus to the police in Gauteng, it is mentioned here, Vosloorus, Johannesburg Central and Tembisa. These are the police stations that are at the top of the food chain where these crimes have been reported. How do residents there deal with this, or what do they do as a protection measure?
Well, you can only do so much, but at the end of the day, you rely on the authorities and our government to protect and serve. And if that is not in place, then you have to go into survival mode. You'll have to go out of your way, be extra positively paranoid, and you have to be very careful. So number one, I would say never draw attention. If you're financially strong, don't go walk around with a bling. With the expensive cars. Don't share your information on Facebook and on the social media platforms. The problem is and we've warned so many times about this on our platforms, that they do not actually realize that the criminal of today is an investigator himself. Investigators, they are syndicates, gangs that find all information that they can out about you. And most of your information is on a platform. If you lose your phone, and you absolutely lose it, you must know you have too much information on your phone. So they could hack your information, get your information from people that know you, documents that you've discarded in your dustbin, at your offices that's not shredded. This is how they send out their informants, get the information, but mostly concentrating on the social media networks as to find out what is your worth. And then they might have contacts in the cell phone companies and get your information and your communications and your banking details and even sometimes even your passwords, etc., etc. So inside information, informants, doing an investigation, identifying a specific person, and then committing the crime is the process that the criminals would follow. So my advice would be to not draw attention, not have your information out there, and be extremely paranoid and careful where you ever move and find yourself. And needless to say, have a good family relationship, good relationship with your neighbors, your community guards and safety and security infrastructure, and try and create a proper relationship with your local police. That's the only advice I can give, because unfortunately, once again, the police cannot deal with these crimes.
Mike, finally and very briefly if you can, a very interesting find by reporters who were at the house where the raid into the Israeli fugitive, Ben Simon, who was arrested alongside his co-accused, in fact, interestingly, they are appearing in court again today, was a van, a delivery van, fitted with a table and chairs, and they suspect that this would be used for kidnappings in order to interrogate people inside the car. At least that's what the reporting says. Does the arrest of such people help in curbing this crime trend of kidnappings?
It does. The biggest advantage is that it's exposed, that everybody knows, it's all over in the media, and that's the best form of crime prevention. But it would be much better if these guys are quickly taken, quickly prosecuted, and quickly jailed. The problem in our country is there are so many crimes committed, and when some of them are caught, they are not properly prosecuted and they don't get proper sentences. So crime pays. And remember, the syndicates that commit on the high level of kidnappings, that commit these crimes, are extremely wealthy, connected, and have their people. They have their people in banks, they have attorneys, the best there is. They drive the best cars, they've got connections in the police, sometimes in municipalities and even in government. It's the old story, when money walks into a court, it can make a very serious difference. So that's my only concern. But yes, they've used these vans. They will get the people in, say to them exactly, they don't even have to hurt people anymore. It's very professionally done, that this and this is what's going to happen. If you don't do this and this, this is what's we're going to act out, and then the negotiations start. And remember, by that time, they have fully planned out this and executed this kidnapping. They cannot be traced. They've got all the jammers. They've left no evidence behind. and they just give clear instructions, they get the money, and the person is returned. Most people are returned. Few are murdered.
Mike, let me thank you very much for your time. I mean, it is most worrying when I saw that report. In fact, this car, we are told, is actually even proofed in terms of sound so that you don't hear the noise coming out of that. Perhaps just as a final one, the arrest of such people, do you think it might lead to yet more syndicates, or his extradition, which is what is being processed in the court or by the courts right now, is that going to allow the others who have been conducting the same similar crime trends to just, continue as they have been in our country?
I don't think it would be a very big deterrent. They might learn. The other criminals on this high level of kidnapping, these syndicates, these gangs, they learn from their mistakes and they adapt. So they'll get better contacts. They'll make less mistakes. By the time they are a group committing these extremely well-planned kidnappings, they leave no room for error and they leave no evidence behind. But, there's no honor amongst criminals, and sometimes somebody is a whistleblower, or there's a tip-off, or something obscure happens where something leaked out. So I don't think any deterrence or anything that has happened in this particular case would deter any of the other, if we can call them professional, high-level kidnappers in South Africa. As a matter of fact, I will see a definite raise, especially October, November, December. Crime escalates with 200% to 300% in South Africa. It's like the criminals decide, let's get all we can get now. Everybody is wary, not awake, aware of what's going on. Let's take advantage of all of it, and then Christmas is around the corner. Let's get as much as we can. So it's every year the same story. I would see an increase of kidnappings, definitely, in all levels in South Africa.
Private Investigator Mike Bolhuis, thank you very much for your analysis of the crime trends in South Africa. It's a worrying situation.
Thanks,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.